Hello everyone, welcome to Boho Bookworm and welcome to my July wrap-up. I read 3 very good books, sorry plant, very good books throughout July. You're in the way. How rude. The very first book that I finished was Still Beating by Jennifer Hartmann, and my effing goodness, this book, like, I was told that it was amazing. It was more than amazing, it was goddamn brilliant. I was also told this book was dark, and it exceeded my expectations. I think I underestimated it. Like, it was so brutal. It's a book that pushed the boundaries, to say the least. Honestly, at the beginning of this book, I was worried that it was going to be this angsty kind of teenage book. I needn't have worried. Talk about a 180. I'm going to say straight away, there are so many trigger warnings for like cheating and rape and all sorts of horrific stuff. So if you can't handle that, this is not a book for you. But if you can kind of get past the fact that there is going to be a lot of rape involved, just read it. I still don't know the answer to this question. Is it a romance? Is it a thriller? I just don't know. It's everything. Is it erotic? Yes. Is it erotic in a good way? But what? I don't know how to answer these questions. I mean, sometimes yes, in others, not at all. It's about this girl called Cora who gets abducted along with her sister's boyfriend, or well, fiance. They're forced to have sex with each other, literally with a gun to the heads. When they aren't having forced sex, Cora is raped by their abductor, so she's basically getting it from all angles. Not in a good way, if you're into that. She is treated like one of the abductor's pets. One of the mid-year freakout questions is, who is your latest fictional crush? I don't tend to get those because the books I read normally, although lately I've been reading a lot more romance and contemporary reads, usually in thrillers, there's not a character in which you would enjoy or find sexually attractive in like a, I don't even know what I'm trying to say. Basically, I don't normally have fictional crushes. However, Dean, yes, please, Dean, you were lovely. He agonized over raping Cora. He did it so gently, the best that he could, the way that he interacted with her and tried to make her okay with this entire situation that was so traumatizing and brutal. I know that it sounds weird, but it was stunning and beautiful. It was phenomenal, and the tension was just through the roof. The connection that Dean and Cora have is insurmountable, and it's horrible because I don't like books about cheating. They were in this impossible situation, and you know, there is the fact that it's Dean's sister-in-law, but they do have this connection, and that was before they got abducted together, and how they're going to handle that when they get out of this abducted state, and when they're trying to like understand these feelings and these horrific things that happen to them after they are released from their captivity, basically. You know, lovey-dovey books really aren't my thing. This isn't really a lovey-dovey book, but it physically pained me when these two weren't together, and that never happens for me in books at all. Like, I'm the kind of person that's like, oh, you know what, like, people break up, move on, get on with it, you'll find someone else, there's so many fish in the sea. That's just who I am. I'm very realistic. After very many failed attempts at relationships and a couple of very horrible and devastating heartbreaks, I've learned to move on and get past things. But these two just, my heart. That being said, if I lost Anthony, I think I would, that's it. Game over for me. He's the love of my life, and that's it. Love you, boo. Anyway, back to Still Beating. This book was so well written. It was phenomenally executed. It was respectfully done and just astounding. 5 out of 5 stars from me. Well, then I finally finished A Clash of Kings by George R.R. Martin, the second book in the Song of Ice and Fire series, Game of Thrones. Now, I enjoyed this, I did, but not as much as the first book. Book 2 is all about all these different characters calling themselves kings, as the title suggests. Oh, sorry, that's the middle finger. Whoops. It was just very slow burning, but it's, you know, this is a massive series, so there is a lot that you kind of have to get in the development and the world building and all that kind of stuff. So I got it, and we were introduced to different characters too, like Theon and Davos. I wasn't really sure I'd like them, but I actually really ended up enjoying Theon's chapters. He was just a very fascinating and interesting character. He had this like this massive desire to please his father, and I'm still trying to understand whether he falls more on the villain scale or if he's a good guy. He's a bit of both, and it's difficult to kind of figure him out, and I like that. He was kind of like plotting against the Starks and stuff in this book, so yeah, it was just a very interesting storyline. Sansa's chapters were far more bearable in this book. She wasn't this like incessant, whiny little girl obsessing over bloody Joffrey. She kind of grew up a bit in this book, and I like that. In fact, I go as far as to say the first book, I really hated her chapters, one of the worst chapters in the book, but in this book, I've really enjoyed them, one of my favourites. Another 180. I was, however, so disappointed that there wasn't more of Daenerys' chapters in this book. She is by far my favourite, and book one, we got so much of her, and I just felt like in book two, it was weird that we didn't, especially considering there's this like red comment that they're all going on about in the sky, and I think that we know, as the reader, especially if you've seen the show, that the comet symbolises something to do with the dragons and stuff. So the fact that all the characters are like going on about this bloody comet, why wasn't there more of Daenerys in this book? Tyrion's chapters continue to be super funny and entertaining, and just like that kind of the lightheartedness that we need in the book. There's a lot of like his sexual energy and his scheming ways, and I just really, I love his chapters, second favourite by far. I did feel a tug towards both Arya and her brother Bran in this book, just their struggles on growing up and trying to figure things out and on the run and being disabled now and things like that. Like they're so young and their lives have literally been ripped apart. So yeah, I felt very maternal instincts towards them, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I'm not really a series person, but bring on book 3. This got a 4 out of 5 stars from me. Lastly, I read Wrong Place, Wrong Time by Gillian McAllister. Now, as much as I love Gillian McAllister, I was really hesitant about this book because from the premise, it just sounded very unbelievable, like kind of time travel, time loops. It's not really my kind of thing. It's more like science fiction, fantasy. So I was like, oh, I just don't know if I'm going to enjoy this, even if it is a bit of a thriller as well. I'm so happy that I decided to give it a go anyway, because I loved it. I am raving about it, and I will give it to anyone that will listen. I just want to talk about this book with everyone. It was a buddy read with Emma from Instagram that I found, and her Instagram's really great. We have really similar taste in books, and yeah, we just buddy read it throughout a period of like a week or two, and I just can't get enough of it. It's so good. It is a mind bender. In this book, we follow Jen, mother to Todd and wife to Ken. She is a very successful lawyer, but you can tell that she's got this like really paranoid view of herself, and she's just so scared about what other people think about her. She's always trying to be like perfect and wondering how others are going to perceive her and stuff. But she's got this amazing marriage. Their son is seemingly perfect until he's not. One night, Jen witnesses Todd murder someone on the street, basically right in front of her, and she needs to try and figure out why he's done it, who this person is that he's killed, and in doing so, she's devastated. Basically, she sees her son lose his entire future because he's killed someone. He's going to go to jail, and so she goes to bed crying. When she wakes up, it's the day before. So she now has somehow gone back into time, and she can figure these things out, which is obviously not really a realistic plot, but it was just, like I've said, so good. I mean, she's mesmerized, she's startled. This is like a once-in-a-lifetime chance. So day by day, she has to pick her way through things and pick up all these clues and figure out how to save her son and to stop this murder from happening. She claws her way through time to solve this mystery. I had this theory about this book being, you know, it's something to do with one of Jen's clients, like the scorned wife who's going through this difficult divorce, trying to keep her children away from her husband. And I just kind of thought that maybe like Jen had something to do with it, or I'm not sure, but I was so wrong. The twists and turns in this book were just amazing. I was honestly just so blown away. It was so addictive, so spine-chilling. It was beyond interesting, unputdownable. I could not stop reading it. I will say that it was quite complicated with the whole going back in time, and no other character knew, like they were just living their lives normally, but she had to try and figure out like how to talk to people without kind of ruining the future, if you know what I mean, or giving hints and clues about the future to people so that they would believe her. But it is a very complicated thing to keep up with. But when you get into it, it was just a 5-star read. It was so perfect. I really honestly have not been so engaged and so engrossed in a book for such a long time. It was startlingly good, considering that I'm not a fan of sci-fi or fantasy. Just wowza. It was truly absorbing, and I wish it hadn't finished. So yep, 5 out of 5 stars from me. They are the books that I read in July. Amazing, right? I read such good books. Normally there's always a book that I'll like rant and rave about and say how horrible it was and do my harsh reviews, but this month was perfect. Then I went to Portugal and read loads more in the sun and got this lovely tan. I'm so sorry, plant. I need to move out of this spot. This is clearly not a good filming spot. Right, I am going to go now, but I hope you're well. Let me know what you're reading throughout August.